Come on. What's going on, folks? Good morning. Brother Larry. Go ahead and sign in, good people. Good morning to you. To my early risers today. So I'm playing through this song of mine for you guys who haven't heard the song before. It's called Quick Getaway from my album called Dreams Work Reality. Who is that? Peter? Is that how I say that? Best regards from Poland. Man, good afternoon to you, but good morning for me. All right. Yeah, so I'm just kind of playing around through the little one of the solo sections of this song. Sweet, I finally got one of them right. Peter, got you. All right. All right, so the album is on Amazon. It's pretty much on any major digital platform like Amazon, iTunes. I don't know all of them. Tidal, whatever other ones that's in your country, I'm not sure, but it should be on almost every, Spotify. It's on Spotify, Apple Music, all of that stuff. So yeah, the name of it is Dreams Work Reality. The name of this particular song is I had to look at it. Quick Getaway. The Jermaine Morgan Band. If you look up my name, you might not find it, so you have to look up the Jermaine Morgan Band for this particular song. So yeah, Quick Getaway. It's actually a sax solo that happens during this section. I just have it muted so I can kind of play around with some improvisation ideas. But here's a sax solo I added back in. happen. So let's see here. That's what I don't like about the technology. Sometimes it chokes up on you. So let's see what we have going on here. All right. I probably got too many windows open, knowing me. I'm notorious for that. So. So obviously, the timing is one of the things you have to really pay attention to. So once you start getting in, improv on this song is pretty easy. It's straightforward. It's in the key of C major. But the thing that gets difficult is trying to make sure you land everything within the timing. That particular section is in 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm sorry, 7. I said 5. My bad. So yeah, so you just have to kind of make sure you're landing everything within that time. I'm thinking 5. I got another song that's in 5, and I know what it is. It's the song. It's the song where we do on that same record. There's a song we go to a section that's in 5, and it's called Original Slake. I've actually did a performance of that song on one of the videos, on one of the Grooves and Motivation videos, and that particular section is in 5. So yeah, this one is in 7. I'm sorry, y'all. It's early. So yeah. So the and not that I have a problem with improvisation over 7. It's just, I don't know, sometimes depending on how it feels, because some songs are easier than others, even though it's the same time signature. You just kind of have to make sure you feel it. And I don't know, I think David Haynes, I've said this before, really helped me in understanding using odd time signatures and kind of improvisation over odd time signatures, learning how to feel as opposed to count. You want to count, but it's more so when you feel it and you like really got it in your system, you don't have to spend as much time counting because you sense where the beat is and you're not spending all your time 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2. Like, I'm not thinking about the count right now. So it sounds like good with the 7. Man, it's cool. Like the actual song is in 4. But it goes to this section that's 7. You know, it's just my little composition. It's just, I don't know. I know for some people that's like very elementary, but that's kind of what I heard for this particular song. So I kind of went with it. So I'll go from the top of this song. Let me take out the bass. I've played it before on a live, but hey, this is strictly for my practice in the day. So I decided to bring you guys in on just me kind of practicing through this stuff. I hadn't played it probably since the last time I went live. So yeah, let me see here. Hopefully I remember all of it. I think it's in the key of C. Starts out in 4. That solo section goes to 7. B flat. Got it. I gotta get that. I can't let that ride. That's what it is. My bass is tuned different. I played this with a half a step down. The drummer, yeah. So the drummer is Darius Fant. That's one of my best friends playing the drums. The keyboards is Will Perry, another one of my good friends. So yeah, these are like two of my closest friends that are playing with me in the band. So yeah, so the bass that I was playing on here was tuned down to B flat. I'm like, wait a minute, something is weird. And so I'm like seriously sitting here struggling with this song because I guess this is the first time I've played it standard. And I'm like, wait a minute, I normally go here and I'm able to grab that low B flat. And I'm not able to grab the B flat because I tuned down when I recorded this song. So that's what's weird about it. All right, y'all are not gonna be sitting here listening to me like this dude can't even play his own song. But I literally just realized, I'm like, man, okay, that B flat was open. That's what it is. That's why I keep missing that B flat, because it's open. All right, that's my excuse. I'm sticking with it. So like right here, this section. Like I'm normally able to grab that low B flat, but I don't have it. I have B. Yeah, that doesn't work. So okay. So everything feels different in that particular section for sure. But that's cool. I'll work around it. Can't let that ride. Let's go back. Almost. But almost doesn't count. Let's go back. I'm gonna keep saying one more time every time I do it. So if y'all in a recording session with me, you know I'll say one more time like 15 times. One more time, it's the last time. All right, let's see. That was better. Still wasn't it. It was a lot better though. How y'all doing this morning, man? Y'all good? Everybody feeling good? Quiet on there. Yeah. So Dimitri, what's up, man? Corey, I see you. Corey from Louisville, time signature. So Larry, no, I think we answered that already. So yeah, the song is in 4/4. It just has a section that goes into 7, like I was saying earlier. But yeah, I'm gonna hit that section again. This is for me, for my consistency. I ain't cool with that. I guess again, with my excuses this morning, I haven't been playing this song. What's up, David? I haven't been playing this song tuned standard. I generally only tune. And here's my thing: if you guys were around for like the first lessons that I was doing, Nyan, what's up, man? Nyan. If I'm saying that wrong, don't charge it to my head, man. So like my earlier lessons, I used to tune flat for the lessons because that's just how I play. 90% of the times when I'm playing out, especially in gospel settings, I would always tune flat. All right, let me try to respond. Foster, what's up, dude? Michael, good morning to you. But again, once I realized how confusing it was for some people, I started tuning standard for all of the lessons. And so this bass would pretty much stay standard most of the time, whereas my 6 strings would always be flat for the most part. So I recorded this song with my 6 string bass and it was tuned to be flat. And so even when I would perform this song out, I would always play this song, always tuned flat. And so this is my first time playing this song tuned standard. So I'm like, I'm fumbly McFumbleton in here this morning trying to trying to find my way around. Normally I'm not that confused because I think about it, but I guess with my own personal music, like everything is so locked in that I know exactly where everything is based on how I recorded it, that my brain automatically goes to that as opposed to learning a song tuned a different way. All right. Do you get your tones from your amp or your bass? Do you keep the settings flat on the amp? For the most part, man, Corey, my settings are pretty flat on my amp. And I know somebody gonna say, man, that dude ain't, his settings ain't flat. So all right, hold on here. So here are my settings. If I can, let me try to do this. Try to flip that around. All right, pretty flat. The only thing that's boosted a little bit is the bass, and I can actually pull that back. But for the most part, everything stays flat when it comes to my settings. All right, so, and I EQ from my bass. Daryl Clayton, what's up, man? Good morning to you. Alexander, good morning. Mississippi in the house. What part of Mississippi? Jerome Gaines, good morning to you. Andre Colson, I see you, man. Good morning. So yeah, that's why I'm kind of working through this stuff, and it's good if you do play. I would recommend if you are learning to play flat, kind of go back and forth. You know what I'm saying? Like be able to kind of know your way around both flat and standard. If you're tuning down, I would just advise that you be able to kind of comfortably do both. That way, if you're ever thrown, I'm tongue twisted this morning. If you're ever thrown into a situation, something happens with your bass, you got to go up on stage like last minute, you don't have time to tune the bass, you don't bomb the show. Because that has happened before where, I had to play a different bass than what I was expecting. So now on the fly, I have to, do something different. I'll play a different bass, or just go grab a bass and sit in, that kind of thing. And if you're fluent with both, both tunings. Oh, Ponatoc. Oh yeah, you know me. I know you. I've seen you before, pretty sure. All right. So yeah, it's with that different tuning, you when you learn them both, you're not thrown into a situation where you fail pretty much. So yeah, be fluent if you're gonna tune down, because I know a lot of people have been on the fence about tuning down and want to tune down and get that low B flat. Some of you guys even want to tune down to A, which either one is cool, but just make sure you're able to go like back and forth, and the fretboard, your way around pretty good. And like I said, be mindful of it, because you see the struggle for me this morning, remembering my stuff. Again, I'm not gonna go back through that story, but like just kind of being. But for the most part, I'm navigating the song pretty cool. It's just I'm having to remind myself I don't have that low B flat that I normally have access to. All right. How often do I clean and maintain my basses? Probably, honestly, about once a month for how I play. I just changed these strings last week. Yeah, so they still got the pretty clean, pretty crispy, the Rice Krispie treats on it. So yeah, I mean it keeps a pretty good bite either way. But yeah, as far as cleaning it and everything, I kind of go through it. If it gets pretty bad, I'll you can see where I have to keep like the oil and stuff on it. And Warrior normally sends oil, to kind of keep it oiled up. I think what you can use, if you don't if you have a natural finish base and it's like not coated, because this base isn't coated with a with a high gloss coating or anything like that, which for me, I'm kind of torn between, because they can easily become more damaged. And you see these war wounds on mine. If you guys are just wondering if you want a custom base, just be mindful of that. They're a little bit more susceptible to, injury when they're not coated, because this is natural wood. This is real wood. So if you get a ding, you really get a ding, especially this exotic wood like this. You can see these scars. We call them character now, but you can see these scars. That way, if somebody is playing this bass, it's not the original, because mine has scars on it, real scars. All right, and so I'm showing y'all all the nicks and dings. I didn't do all of these, by the way, unless y'all think I'm rough with my bass. I'm not rough with it. The airport takes credit for a few of these niches that's in here I talked about last week. And nicks rather, that's in here. And I think might have been some time when my daughter was very young, because she was just born like around the time that I got this bass. And so by the time she started walking, I think she may have knocked it off of the stand or something like that. So it's some stories to go with it. So all in all, it still sounds good, still plays good. But just be mindful of that though when you're purchasing a bass that's a natural finish, and you don't have the high gloss. I know this is not news for some of you guys, because you already know this, but some of you who are interested in buying basses, if it had the natural finish, you have to keep them oiled. You have to treat the wood. All right. What's up, man? Music for Jesus. If it's a man, woman, I'm sorry if I call you wrong. All right. Good morning from Gavin. Good morning to you. Let me see here. When I'm in a session where I can actually loop it, I'll loop a section. If I'm having trouble with a section, or if I just really want to explore a section a little bit more, I'll take that and loop it. That's the good thing about having a recording software. You can just pick out a section of the song, if you know the tempo, and just loop it and play around with it. Let's find a. Let me find a good loop spot. So that's not. Let me go back. I might was right in the first place. Let's see myself. All right. So I'm just going back, just in case you guys are wondering, I'm going back and forth between the 2 and the flat 7. So it's when the key of C to the flat 7. That's the actual groove, but I'm just kind of finding other ways to navigate around this. So without having to do that every single time, but I don't want to lose the essence of that because within that is the feel. But I want to be able to kind of have variation of that same thing without losing the feel. So that's why you kind of see me thinking at the same time. Normally I don't think, and that's probably part of my problem. I'm thinking because I'm trying to see where else I can go outside of that. I haven't been playing long enough. Sometimes when I play for like an hour or so, my hands, and it might be for some of you guys, once I play for like an hour or so, my hands like really, really wake up and then my brain can kind of chill out. But when, in the early stages when my hands aren't fully like, powered, I'm thinking a lot. I'm doing a lot of thinking. But when I get warmed up, it's like I can kind of think less and just enjoy more. So you'll find sometimes in your practice time, you'll have in the early stage of your practice, if you're anything like me, you might have a lot of trouble kind of waking up and you might be, alert, but just your hands are still kind of sleep from doing what they normally do. And I've been playing for a little while this morning, but I haven't fully been digging in like I would normally dig in. So again, it takes me a good while before I kind of get woke up and playing around where I'm really fluid and I can kind of just pop out a lot of ideas without even thinking about it. So now you kind of catching the part where I'm working through it, which I think is good because it shows that everybody kind of still deals with the same stuff. We're dealing with it on a different level, but we're all kind of dealing with the same thing, which is kind of what my topic is about. This morning. It's all a process. Can you handle the process? Most people struggle with something new, with the thought of wanting to give up on it because they're not making the progress that they felt like they should have been making by now. Or I feel like I should be beyond this and I shouldn't have to, like me, even now. I'm like, as simple as that is, I could get really frustrated if I were here on my own and I was trying to come up with something or I'm playing through this. I could easily, if I let myself, I could get really frustrated because I'm like, dude, this is easy. Why are you messing up on it? Like I'm super hard on myself sometimes when I'm especially when I'm recording. And so I'm like a drill sergeant talking to myself like, dude, come on, man, you can do better than that. So I have the tendency to to go completely negative if I'm not careful. So there's a fine line between how far you go on a negative spin and just motivating yourself to keep going. Like you need that voice to push yourself, but understanding at the same time, it's all a process. It's part of the process. It's part of what we need to grow. And I capitalize PRO because that, of course, we all want to be pros, but in order to be a pro you have to process, and most people don't want to go through the process. I want that instant gratification. I want that instant being, the greatest this, the greatest that. You want to go on a job and you want them to give you a raise within the first 2 weeks of you being there. It's like, dude, no, you have to go through the process. You have to go through the necessary steps in order to be rewarded for what the work you've put in, that kind of thing. And it's the same thing when it comes to this instrument or any instrument for that matter. You have to go through the process. That process could be difficult, and that process could be sometimes discouraging. You have to go through those moments where you want to quit, and you have to keep pushing through it. Every day you practice this bass. I don't care how much material you find on YouTube, and if you sign up for different people's lessons and you're learning from this person, learning from that person, no matter how much information you're taking in, it's going to come down to you having that perseverance to push through everything that you're being given. Because you could get all the information and sign up for me and Scott and Justin Raines and Derek Bennett and everybody else who's giving bass lessons, and you still are suffering as a player. And it's like, man, I can't get it. I can't figure it out. I got this and I got that and I'm learning this and I'm buying that and I'm doing, and I can't figure it out. It's a perseverance. That's the part you can't get around. You can't buy a gift to play. You can't buy the skills. You can buy the tools to help you build the skills that you have, but you can't just go and say, I'm gonna go to Guitar Center and buy the ability to play like this person or that person. I want to be like Victor Wooten tomorrow. How much do I need to pay to be able to do that? Man, if I could do that, I probably done sold something around my house, in order to be able to be that good without having to go through the process of what it took to get there. And the thing that we have to take into consideration along with the process, all of the things about you play into you playing and being the way that you are with this instrument. Some people I know literally sleep with the instrument as it pertains to practicing. They go to bed practicing, they wake up practicing. Me personally, I don't have that option of like completely engulfing. I'm pretty sure but the majority of people who are watching this video are probably like me, where you have to find balance. And I say balance because I am a husband. I am a father of three, three little kids, not three grown kids. I got three little kids, and I'm an entrepreneur. And so, I'm having to do all this stuff, and I have to be like the upkeeper of my home and all that kind of stuff, which means all of the stuff that's required for my property, I have to do it, right now. And so there are a lot of responsibilities that I have, and some of you guys may be dealing with familiar situations where you're responsible for your 9 to 5, whatever your job is. I know I have a lot of truck drivers that watch me. You might be on the road, you're doing a lot of things, and so when you get home, there's a lot of responsibility that falls on you. So finding the balance of, you know what I'm saying? Finding the balance of, all right, where do I get this? Where do I put this time in? Because the desire, just because you have all those responsibilities on you, doesn't mean that your desire to be better leaves. It doesn't leave. It just gets that much more difficult to figure out, how do I maintain, how do I balance all of this stuff? Because the biggest thing, I think the biggest place where we make the mistake is when you start looking to the left and to the right. They put, I think they're called blinders. I'm from the country, but I don't remember what the term is. I didn't have a lot of horses growing up, but you know what I'm talking about. When the horses are pulling buggies back in the day, they would put these like blinders on the horses, so it would not blind them, but they would only allow them to look one way. In a sense, they would have tunnel vision. Don't look to the left or to the right. Obviously, the horse's eyes on the side of his head, so it's going to be very easy for them to look other ways. But if I put these things on the side of your head that causes you to just pay attention to what's in front of you, you don't get the opportunity to look on the side and on that side over there. You only have one direction to focus on, and that's the direction that I'm sending you. If I guide you to the left, you turn left. If I guide you to the right, you turn right. But other than that, you keep your focus on what's in front of you. But us as human beings, we don't have blinders. So we can do this. And what I mean by that is we start looking around at what everybody else is doing. And a lot of times when we start looking around at what everybody else is doing, you ever notice when you're driving your car, you're driving, and especially for somewhere you've never been before, and it's a pretty scenic route, if you start looking around, look at your gas hand or your speedometer gauge. Notice it starts dropping down. You're not going to run 70 miles per hour and still look around. You coming off your gas unless you have that cruise control set. But more than likely, if you're looking around, you're probably slowing down. It's a precautionary measure. I don't want to go too fast and run into the thing that's in front of me. But if I, just start looking around, I slow down to 70. Before I know it, I'm doing 55. People behind me blowing because I'm looking around at what's going on, which means I'm losing ground. I'm not getting as far along as I want to get along because I'm looking around at what everybody else is doing, and it's causing me not to focus on the progress that I'm making. Because if I look over here and that person just passed me and they're going way up there, I'm looking at their car. I'm not paying attention to my own speedometer. I'm looking at their car, how fast they're going, or if I see a car going this way and he's flying and the police is chasing him, and I turn around and look, I'm all back here, I'm going to run over something. Which means I'm going to lose my way if I stop focusing on what I'm doing and start looking at what other people are doing. And what I mean by that, your story is your story. You may not have the time to sit and put hours and hours and hours into practicing all day because you're not given that option. You may only have about 2 hours a week. And just truthfully, would you just kind of looking at all your time with what you have to do with the responsibility that you may only honestly have about 2 hours a week to really get in there and get it done. But don't get disgusted or discouraged because that's all you have. I heard Jim Rohn, a well-known speaker, he says, don't criticize what you have because what you have is all you have. So don't talk about what you have. When I say talk about, I'm talking about in the negative sense. Don't put down what you have because what you have is all you have. If this bass is all I had to get the work that I had to get done, and I got session after session after session that I have to get done, and I'm like, man, I need a different sound, and I need this, and I need that. And granted, this bass is not a fair argument, but and I'm gonna read the comments. I'm just trying to get my idea out before I get off. But if I only had just say let's take it down a little bit. If I only had a little pawn shop bass that cost me $50 and it needs a little work done on it, and the strings are this high off the neck, that kind of thing, it's probably a better argument because some of y'all are probably, I wish I had that bass. But you know what I'm saying? So if I had something that to me wasn't necessarily what I wanted, but it's all I had to get the job done, I can't spend the time that I need to get this work done complaining about what I have to get the work done. No, the objective is to get the work done. You know what I'm saying? Because the better I do the work, the more I'm rewarded. That's part of the process. That's part of the process. The more I put the work in, the more I'm rewarded because how I handle these small things, if I'm lined up with sessions and I only have this bass to get the job done, well, you know what that bass is going to cause me to do? That bass is going to cause me to work on my tone, work on my intonation, all of these different things. I'm going to learn how to try to set my bass up because if the strings are 2 miles off of the neck, that's going to cause me to start trying to figure out, okay, how do I set this bass up to get these strings lowered? So it can be a little bit more comfortable where it's not hurting my hands. And so now I'm learning a skill. I'm learning how to set the bass up because of necessity. I need to figure it out. I need to figure out how to set this bass up. So out of necessity, you learn how to set the bass up. Because you don't have a high price pickup system or preamp in your bass, it's like you're having to trying to tweak it to get the best sound that you possibly can. And guess what you're doing that with? You're doing it with these. You're doing it with these. And you're adjusting the tone on your bass trying to get the best out of it that you have, that you can rather. And so as you do that, you begin to develop skills. And over time, you become an even better, it's the story of my life, you become an even better bass player. So by the time you get something nice in your hands, oh man, you sound real sweet. But because you've put all that time in on things that were like subpar, when you get something that's superb, it's like you sound like you should be playing that because you put the energy and you put the time in on stuff that that you had. You worked with what you had, so now it pays off. Now you can find people that get expensive instruments in their hand and they didn't put the time in. They didn't work as hard. It's kind of like the Rocky Balboa. What is that, Rocky 2, where he's fighting the Russian guy. What was it? I can't even remember his name. But anyway, so the Russian guy, he has this big expensive gym. He has all this equipment. Rocky, he's out there in the wilderness and he's lifting logs and all this kind of stuff. And the hard work that he put in with what he had to work with, it didn't say the other guy wasn't working just as hard, but he had to dig a little bit deeper. He had to use natural resources. Of course, it's all fiction, it's a story, but you get the point. You know what I'm saying? He had to work a little bit harder. They did the same thing with Creed. Old style, you know what I'm saying? Old school type training. And it did a little something different for him. It gave him a little bit more of an edge because he had to use stuff that, and had to be a little bit more creative with the stuff that he was using in order to create workouts that worked on certain muscles that he would normally be using in a gym. And it took him out of the mindset of this is real protected and air conditioned and I got all this nice equipment. Nah, let's get out here and let's get raw, let's get rough, let's really dig in and see what we can pull out. Let's find that inner animal inside of me. And I'm not telling you that you're an animal, but I'm saying you find that other beast. That's a better term. You identify that beast when you have to work with what you have. When you don't spend time complaining, oh man, I don't got this, I don't got that. No, just get it in and get it done. If you got 2 hours, structure the mess out of those 2 hours. All right, so for the first 10 minutes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to spend 10 minutes doing this focused. 10 minutes I'm going to spend doing this. The next 15 minutes I'm going to spend on this particular thing here. I know I've been needing to work on this. And all right, I got to learn songs for my band, for my church, for my group, whatever the case may be. So I'm going to spend the first 45 minutes on like really critical fundamental things that I know I need to work on, like scales, like speed, all this other different stuff. And so that other hour and 15 minutes, I'm gonna really dig in on learning these songs. I'm gonna really dig in. So now I've really structured this time out. So I didn't waste this 2 hours that I have. So now my 2 hours, because I get really structured and really focused, laser focused with my 2 hours, I start to run circles around these people who are spending 5 and 10 hours a week practicing. And they can't figure it out. Because most people who are practicing and they have a lot more time available, the tendency is you will waste more time. The more time you have available, the more time you waste. Think about it. When you were in school and you had to turn something in, if you were like me and you're a procrastinator, like that last day, oh, you getting it in. You you had 2 weeks to get this thing done. But now you wait till the last day. Granted, the person that spent the entire 2 weeks really digging in, they're going to probably have a better presentation than you are. But you find a whole nother beast when you got like the last day to get it done. Like any means necessary, I'm getting done with this because I got to pass this class. You might come out there with a C, but you earn that C. You see what I'm saying? You earn that C. So you really found that strength, you found that fortitude, you found that tenacity to get it done with that last minute. Whereas if you had took that full 2 weeks and just kind of goofed off with the time, which you probably did, you didn't put as much energy, you didn't put as much effort into it. Now, if you can figure out how to take, here's the thing. Once you start climbing up the ladder and you get to where, okay, I only had 2 hours a week, but now that I'm getting better, I'm getting more gigs. So that's allowing me to come off this other thing a little bit more. And so now I got 4 hours a week. Take that same formula that you applied to that 2 hours, that really laser focused 2 hours, apply that to that 4 hours now. Now, however good you got off of that 2 hours, you're going to be twice as better just by default on that 4 hours. So imagine now you have 10 hours in the week to get better because you keep growing each time. And because you're growing, you're getting more and more gigs. Now, so you're growing with all of this, all of these resources, all of this information, and you're killing it here. You're growing leaps and bounds. So now what would have taken you 3 years, you shave that down to like 6 months just by really being laser focused on putting your time in that you had to put in. All of that around the world that I just took y'all is what we call the process. You can't cheat the process. That's the thing about it. You can't cheat the process. And that's one thing for me that I found out in my own playing when I finally got serious. I was playing, I was practicing, I was, doing all this stuff. But as far as taking it really serious, I think when I moved to Atlanta, and you guys will read in that, I got a book. Here's an announcement that you don't know about. I got a book that I'm finishing up. I'm not going to tell the title of it, but just know it's on its way. So I do share some of my story in this particular book that's coming up. So I can't wait to share it with you guys. And yes, there will be an audio book as well for you guys that don't sit back and read the paperback and you driving and you want to hear it. There will be an audio book as well available for this book that I'm coming out with. So yeah, I'm finished writing it right now. I'm actually doing the audio recording for the narrating of the book. I'm doing that, working on that now. We're working on the design and everything. So it should be out soon. So I'm super excited about my first book. So again, I share some parts of my story in that book about how I had to kind of speed up the process, so to speak, because when I moved down here, I saw that people were doing this at a different level than people back home. No disrespect to people back home, but they weren't playing to eat back home. You see what I'm saying? They weren't playing to eat back home. So the mentality was different. It was like, I played this week for a group, or I might do something for my church this weekend. But it wasn't, if I don't make this gig, or if I don't get this gig, I might not eat this week. When that mentality changes, it changes the whole way you approach just by default. Even if you don't want to be that good, just by default, you dig in a little bit deeper. So when you get around a group of people whose mindset, like for me, what was average at home was like beginner level down here. If you're average back home and you come down here where everybody, well, when I got here, I put it like that. When I got here where everybody is on a professional level, average don't cut it. Like what's average back home, it doesn't cut it. So you have to be what we consider really good to be average down here. So I'm like, wow, okay, so I really got some work to do. Because back home, I was considered good. I ain't gonna say really good. I was considered good back home. I was, big fish in a small pond back home. But now you get down here and you're a small fish in a big ocean, it's a whole different scenario. And that might be for some of you guys where you are, you might be a big fish in a small pond. So it gives you the illusion that you're further ahead than you think. So don't believe that. Don't buy into that. Don't measure yourself. It goes back to what I was talking about, those horses having blinders on it. Don't measure yourself against what other people are doing, because that can fool you. Measure yourself against your potential. Don't measure yourself against what you see everybody else doing. So if you're the top dog, you got the fastest car and everybody else is behind you on the 2-lane highway, you fast, but you might not be as fast as you think. Drop your car off into a race with some folks that got some show enough cars. Now you can see how fast you are if you just want to measure yourself against people. Because just playing the comparison game, you know what I'm saying? Exactly. Going beyond your locality. Playing the comparison game will have you fooled into thinking that you're something that you're not. You never want to do that. You want to continue to grow. You continue to push yourself, not by measuring yourself against people next to you, but measuring yourself against your own potential. If you can hear yourself being better, push to get what you're hearing in your head. If you know you're better than what you're hearing, push to get to that. Push to get to the version of yourself that you're hearing. Push to get to the version of yourself that you can imagine. Push to do that. You know what I'm saying? All right. Exactly. Missing meals would definitely be a motivator. All right, let me go back. I missed like some super. Let's go back. Christy said, "Hi, can you give me some tips? I'm really done with playing the same usual patterns and shapes for licks and fills. I want to uh, try to make something different. Please suggest me something. Listen, when we get off of here, please just go through my channel because I'm guaranteed you're going to find more than one video that's going to answer that question for you. So you'll do yourself a favor if you do that right after this live. Just go through my channel. You can go through season 4 of Jermaine Morgan TV. I have them in playlists. Literally start at video 1, and I guarantee you by the time you finish that, if you can't figure out anything else that gets you better ideas, I don't know what to tell you, because I know there's going to be a ton of information that's going to be very, very helpful for free to you here on my channel. All right, so let's see here. Man, Tyrone, I'm glad this is helping you. If you're still here, Music for Jesus, I can definitely identify. I can identify with the frustrations. I started to limit my focus for a week in learning and applying myself to specific areas such as using triads, modes, chords, licks, and fills. And that's all you have to do is just be really laser focused on what it is you're focusing on, or what it is you're trying to grow, the area you're trying to grow. And by default, you're just going to grow by putting in that work. I purchased 5-string bass and had to put some work in. So yeah, absolutely. Marvin said Northwest. Good morning, Marvin. Florida is in the house. I want to go to Florida, man. Y'all need to get it together down there with the corona and everything. I want to leave. I need a break. But I ain't going nowhere right now, though. All right, so Will said, great, going beyond your locality. All right, so Maurice says, good morning, Jermaine. I just want to ask you, what do you consider a seasoned basis? Please and thanks. All right, Music for Jesus. What's the best way to work on finger speed? Okay, so Maurice's question says, what do I consider a seasoned basis? That's somebody simply who's put the time in and who's had the experience along, not only just playing like I'm doing in these 4 walls. Seasoned, you've been around for a while. You've worked with some people, and by working with people, I don't mean you work with big name people. There are some seasoned bassists that I know who have not played on major stages, but they are very, very good at what they do. They're very, very good with working with people. They're very good teachers, which means they can help other people. They can show people what it is they're doing. They're not just kind of just playing and don't have a clue to what's going on. They're able to give. Thank you, Tyrone, man. I'm hopefully it'll be out soon. They're able to give insight to people. When you're seasoned, it's like you're able to I can show you exactly what it is I'm doing, even if I'm not a teacher and I'm not able to talk all the theory and all this. Just because and let me make the distinction. Because you're a theory head and you know all of the theory, doesn't mean you're seasoned. They're not hand in hand. Just because you've read all the books, you've studied all the stuff, you know all the terminology and all that kind of stuff, that does not make you seasoned. That makes you knowledgeable when it comes to theory, but it doesn't make you, in my opinion, this is all my opinion, so don't debate me, but in my opinion, when it comes to being seasoned, it's kind of like you know in your particular area of what you do, you know exactly what to do. You know how to do it. Because I always reference quartet players because that's what I grew up listening to. A lot of quartet musicians. Now, some of this theory stuff that I'm talking about, they probably wouldn't have a clue to some of the stuff that I'm mentioning. But when it comes to my Asian friend, hello to you. When it comes to doing what they do, they know exactly, like some of the old school blues players and some of the old school gospel players. Some of these guys couldn't tell you what key they're in, but when they hear the note, they know exactly where it is on that fretboard. They know exactly the feel that goes with the song. They know exactly what to play. You know what I'm saying? So they're not as knowledgeable in the theory aspect of it in terms of being able to name the stuff, but they know exactly what to play. You put them in a studio session, they're gonna nail it every single time. Like, okay, now that don't work over that chord. This works. This is a better feel for that kind of thing. So they have a better. I'm trying to give you a very descriptive definition of it for my opinion. They have a very entailed, idea of what to do in a musical situation when it comes to their area of expertise. They have a great idea of what to do. So if we put them on this blues gig, they're gonna know exactly what to play. No matter what song you strike off, they're gonna know exactly what to do, and they can help you to know what to do because they've been there, they've done it before through trial and error. They've learned, they've made mistakes, they've bumped their head, they scraped their knees. They know exactly what to do. You know what I'm saying? And that, in my opinion, that's what season is. You know exactly what to do, even if you can't fully theoretically explain it. You just know what to do. All right, so coming back, I don't know who this is, Antis. Yeah, you're late, buddy. I've been playing, so yeah, you gotta wait. Uh, let's go here. I'm trying to music for Jesus. One of the things that I have kind of showed my students over the years, one of the things that I've practiced on with kind of working through speed and getting faster. One exercise is not the only way. This is not the only way to build speed, but one exercise I like to do is just working through like chromatic scales. That's one thing. Like you can start here. That way you're working all of the fingers, just really just simple chromatic going up and down the fretboard. You can go up ascending and then you can come down descending like. That's just one way to get the fingers warmed up, get the fingers moving, all four fingers moving up and down the fretboard. That's one example, you can do. And so on, and just kind of move that back and forth over the fretboard. The biggest thing I would do with that is kind of take a metronome. And this particular exercise is just getting the fingers moving, I haven't did this in so long. And it's taking the metronome and gradually speeding it up. And with any of these exercises that you do, whichever one that you pick, and of course you can take like the major scale. Take the major scale and speed it up gradually. You can take shouting music. I've heard Bubby Lewis say for years how he got fast is he would play shout music for hours. Just play it. He had the TV on or something like that and just. And I would definitely attest to the shout music being one of the things that will make, kind of help your speed, because a lot of guys that I grew up listening to, I didn't grow up in an apostolic church or, where they played shout music. My shout music was like I grew up Baptist, so that's about as fast as you was gonna get in the Baptist church. You was like, yeah, you wasn't doing 63 beats per minute. You wasn't doing none of that in no Baptist church, not at all. So I had a hard time really working on speed because everything that we did when I was growing up was super laid back. Everything was laid back, and the fastest you would get was like some Timothy Wright or John P. Key every now and again. That was, just kind of slightly up tempo, but it wasn't nothing super fast. So I didn't grow up on shout music, but if that's a thing, if you can learn to play shouting music, that will definitely work on your speed because you having to move around. You got to move around the bass fast. So I would say those people who grew up in like Kojic and Apostolic and Pentecostal churches, I would definitely say their speed is, man, it seems like it's so much farther ahead than the average musician, simply because they're playing fast every week. And that's the other thing about building your speed: repetition. At the end of the day, repetition. If you're always in a scenario where you're having to play music fast, you're naturally going to be faster just by default. So if you're in one of those scenarios, take advantage of that situation. And I say use the metronome so you can go back and clean. Just because you're playing fast all the time doesn't necessarily mean it's clean. So a good way to be able to play clean fast is to work on playing it slow. You know what I'm saying? So really taking that metronome. You know, so now when you speed it up, you know what I'm saying? As you gradually speed that up with your metronome, and I say keep bumping that metronome up as high as you can get it. And once you get to what you think is your breaking point, say for instance, if your breaking point is 120 BPM, and you know, like, man, that's when everything starts falling apart for me. I normally tell students, all right, now back that down like 20 to 30 BPM. The same thing you were just playing, start working on it from there. All right, so go down to 110 and start working on the exact same thing you were struggling with at 120. So once you work on it at 110, now, I'm sorry, 100, bump it up to 110. All right, get it clean there. All right, now bump it back up to 120. And generally what they'll find when they bump it back up to 120, it's clean. All right, so now take it a step further. Let's go either 125 or let's go 130. So once they bump it up to 130, probably start struggling again. All right, so now bump it down to 110. All right, you get my process? Take it back down to 110. You start working through that 110. You go up to 120. 120 is sweet. You go up to 130. 130 is getting real sweet now. So now you bump it up higher. Let's go 135. 135 starts to get a little, a little funky, but it's legible. So let's bump it up to 140. All right, 140 sounds like trash. Go back down. Now we go to 120. So you see what I'm doing? So now it's almost like you're taking the stairs, kind of like you're lifting weights. You know what I'm saying? You might have to just take a little bit off of it, work that out, or whatever you have to do. But you take it down and you keep working your way back. You might have to do this daily. You might not be able to jump 20 beats in the same day, but if you do this over time, over and over, just applying this process, I guarantee with all these different exercises, and if you didn't get those few exercises I said at the beginning, be sure to go back and watch this video again, and you can get those exercises that I was saying that you could use to really start kind of working out on some speed and endurance. And one of the other things I want to point out, and I need to kind of get into this myself, and some of the stuff I was working on last week, is working on like making your notes even, being intentional with the notes, like making sure that we can hear everything clear. Like, that was kind of dirty to me coming back down, because it's like I was kind of just doing some hammer on stuff, but skipping over some notes in my right hand. Being intentional, like with the length of our notes, with the duration of the notes, that kind of thing. So being very intentional, that's something that really helps when you're trying to be super intentional. Let me try to answer a few more questions before I jump off. Okay. Terrence, what's up, man? If you're still here, good morning, sir. I appreciate you sharing your talent along with your wisdom. My pleasure, man. I feel like we just have to share it. Can't take all this stuff to the grave. Love the fact that you always bring that positive energy, man. Appreciate that large bottom per dial. That's good. That's good. You are responding to what I was saying earlier about just the season thing. I appreciate that. Ansys says, I like your bass. Thanks, I appreciate. God bless. Maurice, my pleasure. Hi, Jermaine. Bernard watching from Kenya. What's up, Bernard? Impulse Music, Virgin Island, British Virgin Island. What's going on? Good morning to you. Same here. Didn't grow up on shouting music. Awesome information. Slow is fast. My OCD makes me focus on cleanliness by default. Metronome work is recommendation. Yep. No problem. Morning, Jermaine. I need tips on playing with a lighter touch. Okay. Keep doing your thing, bro. You are a huge inspiration to me, boss man. Man, I appreciate that. So playing lighter, One of the things that helped me to lighten up my touch in playing was a ramp. That helped me to lighten up. You notice on my bass, there's like a flat surface from pickup to pickup right here, and it's pretty much because I added this ramp, and that really helped me to lighten up on my touch. And that's for, and this is not original to me. It's all good, Christopher. I got you. I got this from Gary Willis in terms of the idea and the whole reason behind a ramp. Now, I wouldn't say I initially got it from Gary Willis because I didn't know who Gary Willis was at first. But as I started studying and working on speed and studying cats who were playing like super fast and trying to figure out, man, how in the world are they doing that? And I started studying cats like Hadrian Farad. This is around 2007, 2008 that I started getting introduced to all these different bass players that I had no clue about. So I got introduced to Hadrian Farad, and then I ran up on Matthew Garrison, listening to him. And I was seeing a lot of more players, a lot of different players at that time. Like I think Yannick Wisdala was another player that I saw, and all of them had this thing between their pickups, and I'm like, what is that? You know, what is all? It's kind of look cool. I like the first thing that got me. It looked cool, and I think Richard Bona. I saw Richard Bona had one too at one time. I don't know if he still uses one, but he had one too. And I'm like, man, that's a really cool look. I thought it was just for looks, and then I started researching it more, and I found out that people were using it for speed purposes. It helps you to not dig so far into the strings. You know what I'm saying? It gives you an even surface to play across. If you have like standard basses, most of you guys basses, you have a pickup here and another pickup here, and so you have this big gap and this big opening that's like right in this area, and normally your finger has a tendency to go down and dig into the string like that. You know, you dig into the string. The deeper you dig into the string, the more speed that's costing you, because that's time. By the time your finger goes all the way down and come back up, it's like microseconds, but it's still costing you time and energy because you're digging and you're playing a lot harder. So you're taking time and energy away, which in essence is slowing you down. So I started kind of playing around with the idea. I'm like, wow, I never thought about that. And so I think by the time I got either it was this bass or it was a Fender. I think it was a Fender that I was playing at the time. I made my own ramp. I looked at some videos on YouTube and I created my own ramp. And I started playing with that ramp there, and I'm like, you know what? This does force you to play with a lighter touch because you can't dig in. And I can honestly say when I was playing back in the day, I used to dig in a lot harder and I would play a lot more aggressive. Uh, Not, that's a bad term. I wasn't playing more aggressive. I was playing louder and I was digging in more, thinking it was more aggressive. And when in terms, I play just as aggressive now with the ramp than I did probably when I didn't have a ramp. And it's probably more clean when I'm playing with the ramp because I'm not just distorting or anything like that, just playing extremely too loud, thinking that it's getting a better tone. You know what I'm saying? So that's something, if you guys are interested in, you can kind of check out. Again, Gary Willis is the one I think who kind of pioneered the idea of using a bass ramp. So if you want to learn more about this, I'm not the person to start with. You should go to one of the sources, who is Gary Willis. Look him up, Gary Willis, the ramp, and you can kind of get the whole history behind it. He didn't use the flat surface. His was more curved according to the neck of his bass. It's just kind of curved, the curvature of his bass, because he was playing a fretless bass, so there was more of a curve, like whereas my fretboard is flat on the top, his had more of a curve, so his ramp followed that curve pattern of his fretboard, so he had an even surface all the way across. So check out some videos of Gary Willis to just try to get some context about the ramp if you're interested in knowing more about the bass ramp, and just know that it's not just for looks. They look cool, but they're not just for looks. There's an actual purpose behind having the ramp on your bass rather than just having something that looks cool and having a block of wood, you know, between your pickups. There's, you know, it's something about helping your playing and helping you to improve your speed and all that kind of stuff. So just look it up. And again, those are some players who have, to me, mastered that technique using the ramp. Matthew Garrison being one, and Hadrian Farad being another. And I don't even know if he still uses a ramp as much as he did back in the day. But in the early years of following him, he used to use it a lot. And if you've heard Hadrian Farad at all, you know he's a complete monster, genius on the bass. But yeah, so those are some people that I know that have kind of mastered that thing. But it all comes down to preference. Don't just do it because I'm saying something about it or you see it on my bass or these other cats' bass. It comes down to preference and kind of knowing why you're doing it. After I figured out what it was for, that's why I did it, you know, and I liked it. And when I had my six string built, he went ahead and added the ramp right out of the gate. JD did from Warrior. When I had my six string Warrior bass built, he went ahead and added the ramp to the bass, just right out of the gate. And so that's kind of how I came about to it. Vic, what's up, man? So yeah, those are some things that will help you kind of really work on speed and lightening your touch. All right. Yeah, so I think I've covered everything and answered everybody. But yeah, I was playing through this song earlier today. I'll play it one more time going out. So somebody said, play. I want to hear you play. You came late, but I gave you some slack. It's early in the morning. So I'll play this song as I go out. Any comments, drop your comments down. And the last few of these comments I'll answer before I leave. Hopefully, if it's not too many. But pull this bass down because I feel like it's woofy. Yeah, thank you. All right, so here we go. This song again is from my album Quick. The name of the album is Dreams Work Reality, the Jermaine Morgan Band. The name of the song is Quick Getaway. Yep, it was some flubs, but it's all good. All right, so yeah, the album is out. The name of the album is Dreams Work Reality. The Jermaine Morgan Band. That actually came out like 2017, 2017, 2018. I can't remember, but yeah, it's Dreams Work Reality Part One, which means there's an actual Part Two to the record that we haven't released yet. So if you haven't heard it, it's new to you. So go get it. All right, so I appreciate you guys that want to support Christopher Impulse Music. God bless you, bruh. Pray for Florida. Absolutely, man. Absolutely, I will do that. And y'all be safe, man. I don't take for granted that you guys take time out and watch my video. I don't consider myself that important, but I really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule because your time is valuable, and for you to give a piece of that time to listen to anything I have to say, whether you're watching live or in the replay. I honor you and I respect your time, and I respect your life as well. For you guys who have been affected by what's going on in our country and around the world. First of all, first and foremost, with coronavirus, if any of you guys have been affected personally by that, my prayers and my thoughts to you, as well as to any of you who have had family members who have been affected by this outbreak of what's going on. I send my condolences to you, and I don't overlook that. I know we get on here and we talk a lot about bass and stuff like that, but I don't want to overlook the fact that I know a lot of people are dealing with life and life problems. Um, I do um, I do sympathize with you, and I know you don't come on here for that. You come on here for bass, and I try to give you bass. But I do sympathize with the human part of who you are as people, and because I don't know who's watching me on the other side of this screen, and I don't know what you're dealing with. And yeah, I want to definitely take time out from the bottom of my heart and show love and concern for what it is you guys are going through. And to my brothers of color in this country who have experienced anything concerning racial injustice or with the current climate, I mean, we all watch the news. We know what's going on. This is not what this post is about. But persevere. Persevere. Don't get pessimistic. Don't get cynical, regardless of what you see, regardless of what you see in the media. Always, you know what I'm saying? Always maintain a positive outlook. That doesn't mean just because, and I have people, I post, if you, any of you guys follow me on social media like Instagram or Facebook, I'm kind of careful about what I post, but I have people that can sometimes misjudge my intentions when I say stuff about remaining positive and keeping a good mindset, as to say that that means to be passive about what's going on. That being positive does not equate to being passive. Being positive means I can be aware of what's going on. I can actually do something within my reach about what's going on. But because of that, I don't have to get negative while I'm doing it. I don't have to be so engulfed with what I'm doing that I forget to be positive. I forget to encourage others. I forget to look at something better coming on the other side of this. You know what I'm saying? It takes work, even with me being what I've been talking about today, bringing it back to base. Even with what we're doing, going through this process of becoming who we're trying to become with these instruments, who we're trying to become as people, as we're going through this process. Just because you have setbacks, that don't mean my overall attitude about the entire thing has to become negative. I might have to work a little harder. I might get angry at times. I'm a human being. I'm a black man. I get angry. So don't let it fool you because I smile. No, I'm just like everybody else. I might be wired just a little bit different, but at the end of the day, you cut me, I bleed red, just like everybody that's watching me. We all bleed the same under here, but we can't allow what's going on to allow us to become cynical and not be empathetic with other people, with what they're going through, because you don't know. You just never know. We all don't have the same walk. I even realized culturally, it's different. Me being from Mississippi is completely different from somebody growing up in the south side of Chicago. Culturally, it's just different. So my experiences as a black man growing up in Mississippi might not be the same experience as a black man growing up in Chicago, or I'm using Chicago for example, or anywhere for that matter, South Carolina, North Carolina, all these different places who are known for, a lot of racism, systemic racism, Alabama, wherever you're from. I can't uh, degrade your experience based on my perception. Vice versa, from the other race to another. I can't degrade what you were experiencing as a human being based on my perception or based on my lack of perception, because I haven't seen it. I don't see it going on. I love everybody. You know what I'm saying? I can't diminish the quality. I can't diminish what you feel based on what I feel. So, you know what I'm saying? I am empathetic to everyone who is going under being faced with a lot of stuff. I realize mostly musicians are watching me, and we're taking a hit. Musicians are taking a hit right now during this time because there's a lack of work, because of jobs. And musicians aren't the only one. You know, musicians aren't the only one. Absolutely, every aspect of life is a process, and yeah, every aspect of it. Not just the music thing. But my job here is to keep you motivated, to keep you encouraged, to keep you inspired, that while you're going through this process, use this time. Even when I was talking earlier about making sure you make the most of the time, use this time to better yourself. Use this time to grow. I talk about this all the time, and I won't stop talking about it. If you have ideas, now is the time to be putting those ideas together. You know what I'm saying? Like, now is the time to be taking advantage of the things you've been thinking about for years, and stop. When I talked about the blinders, I'm bringing it all full circle. When I talked about the blinders, don't worry about what other people think about your idea. It wasn't given to them. Don't worry about if your idea, for some of you people that struggle with this, if your idea to you sounds stupid. It sounds like a dumb idea and nobody would ever do this. Nobody would ever buy it. Nobody. Don't listen to that. Don't listen to that. Almost everything that I've done as an entrepreneur seemed like a dumb idea until somebody paid me for it. You see what I'm saying? Exactly. You have a profound opportunity to grow. That's good. I like that. You have a profound opportunity to grow. You know what I'm saying? Every idea as an entrepreneur that I've had felt like a dumb idea. Not initially when it came to my head. Once I entertained it, this is how it happens. You get the idea, and it's like, man, that's a good idea. You know what I'm saying? Man, that's a really good idea. I should try that. So now what you do is you start trying to put wheels or feet to the idea, like you start doing something about it. Then as you get moving and trying to do something about it, something hits you and say, man, that's dumb. Ain't nobody gonna ever pay you for that. It always happens once you start moving with the idea, and that thing comes in, that discouragement creeps in. Don't let somebody co-sign your discouragement. Like somebody comes in and tell you, oh man, that's never gonna work. That's all you needed. You were looking for somebody to co-sign that idea. And if you're a person that's not self-motivated, highly self-motivated, you will let somebody else's opinion of your idea stop you from doing what you initially saw yourself doing, or what the idea that God gave you that idea. If it came into your mind, he gave it to you. If you know it was a good idea. Now, if it's an idea to go do something dumb that you know is stupid, then don't do that. Meaning something negative, something that's not going to benefit anybody. If it's and I got to be clear about this because some of y'all might be having some random ideas. If your idea is to do harm to somebody, if your idea is to take advantage of somebody in a way that's not ethical, you know that's wrong. So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about doing things that add value to other people, things that add value to yourself, things that are ethical, things that you know that are right. You know what I'm saying? So if your idea is in that range that you know that's right, go for it. Don't keep thinking about it. Like, and I've said this quote many a times, and I love it. It's by Les Brown. Has a quote that says, he said, jump, and I'm going to say this incorrect English, but I'm going to quote it just like I heard it. He said, jump and grow your wings on the way down. Grow your wings. Wings for y'all that's not country. Wings. Grow your wings on the way down. That means you don't have to have all of the answers. You don't have to have all of the directions. You don't have to have the GPS telling you exactly where you're going. You don't have to have all of that. Nothing wrong with planning. A man who fails to plan plans to fail. So there's nothing wrong with planning, but just understand that your plans will be adjusted. It ain't no if. Your plans are going to be adjusted. So with that being said, if I know my plans are going to have to be adjusted somewhere along the lines anyway, why not go ahead and jump? Why not go ahead and jump with my idea? It came to me, so let me take a shot at it. If I mess up on it, if I mess up on the dadgum idea that I'm doing, at least I tried it. At least I tried it. And I gained a little bit of wisdom from trying it rather than sitting here analyzing it to death and not doing anything. Because I can sit here and analyze every business idea that I've had and tell you everything that's wrong with it. And, oh yeah, if I had done that, I would have did this. If we do this, this might happen and that might happen. All my mights and shoulds and could haves and might haves. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because what you learn from that experience, the quicker you make a mistake, the quicker you can fix it. If I do mess up while I'm pursuing something that's worthwhile, that's the quicker I am to being successful at something else. Because now the success that I have in trying and starting something, I can take that and apply it in another area. So I can, like, over here, if I started with this business idea and this business idea bombed, well, now when I start this next business idea, I know not to do that. Whereas if I didn't never start that experience that was a failure, that seemed like a failure, no, you just found another way to win. It's not a failure. I just found a way that didn't work. That didn't work, so I'm gonna try this over here, and I know for sure that doesn't work, so I'm not gonna try this over here. I'm not going to try whatever I did over here. I'm not going to try it over there. But there might have been some elements in this particular thing that were good. So I take the good and I put it with my better idea. And I keep building. I keep building. I heard, I was listening to this interview by Will Smith, and he said this, never say you can't do anything. His dad had them to build their house, and some of you guys may have heard this before. His dad had them to build their house. He bought this old raggedy building, and he was going to turn it into a house, and he had them to build it. And they was like, man, ain't no way we're going to get this thing built, because it was a mess. He's like, yes, we can. All we have to do is lay one perfect brick at a time till we build a good enough foundation. And once we got a good enough foundation, we can build anything we want to build from there. So you just work on laying one perfect brick at a time. That doesn't mean the brick has to be perfect. That doesn't mean everything, that all the materials have to be perfect. No, I lay this one thing that I can do. I do it as perfectly as I can do it. I do it to the best of my ability. It might not even be perfect, but I do it to the best of my ability. And then I do it again. It goes back to that perfecting that 2-hour window of practice that I have. If that's all I got, I'm not going to criticize what I got. If it's all I got, I'm going to use what I got, and I'm going to use it to the best of my ability. You see what I'm saying? And I do that over and over and over and over and again. And before you know it, I have a super solid foundation. And once my foundation is solid, I can sit anything on it. Once my foundation is solid, I can sit anything on it. It's not going anywhere. So I can take that same foundation and I can build anything. I can build this business idea. I can build that business idea. I know it works. I know this formula works. So once I got the formula, anything works. Anything goes. I just have to make adjustments as I go. But the biggest thing I'll leave y'all with, again, jump and grow your wings. Grow your wings. Jump and grow your wings on the way down. Don't cheat the process. Don't cheat the process. The process is necessary. It might be hard, even this process of what we're going through with Corona. We don't know why we're going through it, but the process, for whatever reason, is necessary. So while you can get as much as you can get out of this process, don't be a victim of it. Be a victor of the process. Win. You win through all of this. You win, you get it done, you find whatever energy you need to find, be as creative as you need to be. You know what I'm saying? Come up with some stuff. If you can't find ways of making money, you better come up with something. This is not the time to fold up and say, why me? Because all of us are saying that. So this is the time to get creative, to start thinking, to start getting outside of your comfort zone, because it's not going to be given to the people who's laying down. You got to move. You got to get up. You got to do something. You got to make it happen. If you mess up, try something else. If you mess up, try something else. You got to make it happen. But what we can't do in this season, we can't quit. You know? You see what I'm saying? All right, so yeah, we have options. We definitely have options. So again, I thank you guys for tuning in. I just want to leave you with that. If there's a will, there's a way. Yeah, and for my believers that are watching this, if God is for you, He's more than anything or anybody that tries to come against you. You see what I'm saying? Hello, good to see you. My Nigerian brothers, what's going on? No problem. If God is for y'all, you're going to win this thing. You're going to win this thing. Persevere. Persevere. Know that all these things that are happening, they're not just happening to you, but they're happening for you. So figure out the way that you can grow from what's happening. Don't become a victim. Figure out a way you can grow from what's happening. You'd be surprised. If I let you in, you see me smile and you see me get on here consistently every Tuesday morning. But if I let you in on some of the internal things, or some of the private things that I'm dealing with, some of y'all's jaw would drop to the ground if I let you in on some of the private things that I'm dealing with. But yet and still, we are not victims. We keep pushing. You keep smiling. Not fake smiling. Like, it's genuine when I'm smiling. But don't let whatever you're going through steal the joy of who you are. Don't let that rob you of days of your life. Still find ways to be thankful. Find ways to be grateful. If you're breathing, if you're talking, if you're seeing, if you're hearing, if you can hear me, your phone's still on. You know what I'm saying? Whatever the case may be, find something. Find something to be grateful for. Find something to be grateful for. Start there. Start your day off. Start your day off on the right note. Start your day off with the right mindset. I'm thankful for, I'm thankful for running water today. I'm thankful for lights today. I'm thankful that I have food today. I'm thankful that all of my kids are good. Whatever you can find. Everybody's different. You know what I'm saying? I'm thankful for a job, even though I don't like the job. I'm thankful that I have a job during this season. If that's your thing, whatever it is for you, find something. So I challenge everybody before you get off of here today. Find 10 things to be thankful for. If you want to, after I get off this video, you can comment on 10 things in the comment section on this video, or you can write it down. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? At this point, it ain't about likes. It's about you finding something to be grateful for and you winning this day. Win this day. We don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow got enough stuff of its own to worry about. This day, find enough stuff in this day to be grateful for. All right, y'all. I'm super over my time. Thank y'all for rocking with me today. Much love to everybody out there. Keep your head up. Let's keep going. Trust the process.